welcome. We are so excited that you're here. We've had almost 500 people register for these films and discussions and panels, and in 11 countries at least, and that's just countries I can tell from the emails. The US, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Spain, Italy, the UK, Colombia, Canada, Afghanistan, and Australia. We have folks from Clarkson, SUNY Potsdam, SUNY Canton, St. Lawrence, Plattsburgh, Wisconsin, Purdue, USC, Indiana, Harvard, the Boston Public Library, and local high schools. So we are super excited. I would really like to thank my fellow organizers. A number of them are here, not all of them. Yan Chen, Chris Mahoney, Izzy Grasso, Abigail Matthews, and Esma Wally are here with us tonight. And also I'd like to thank Sarah Treptow, who is the STEM Leaf Project Director at Clarkson, Paul Hyland, who is part of the ACM US Technology Policy Council, and Lorraine Kisselberg, who is a professor at Purdue University and the chair of ACM's Technology Policy Council. Before we get started, I would like to offer a land acknowledgement, and I apologize in advance for any errors I might make. I learned so much from a related land acknowledgement that was offered recently by Philip White-Cree, who is a professor of history in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences here at Clarkson. I would like to personally and respectfully acknowledge the wisdom of Indigenous people who have inhabited this land. The Potsdam campus of Clarkson University is located on traditional territory of the Akwesasne Mohawk. And I am grateful to them for their continuing custodianship of the lands and waterways that we inhabit. And I acknowledge that these traditional territories were never wholly surrendered and were only claimed by competing French and British colonial interests and later New York State. And as we gather here virtually at Clarkson, we recognize the contributions of the Akwesasne Mohawk, the Haudenosaunee, and other Indigenous peoples who have made in preserving and protecting the land and waterways, teaching ways of living in thankfulness for the land and in respect for one another. I would also like to mention that in addition to the great films Coded Bias and Picture a Scientist that are officially part of this virtual film series, that earlier this month, Clarkson also offered a virtual screening of the film Without a Whisper, which is a powerful film by Kat Sitsione Fox, who lives in the Mohawk territory of Akwesasne, which is so close to my home in Messina, New York. And it is a really powerful film that shares the often untold story of the profound influence of Indigenous women on the beginning of the women's rights movement in the US. If you've ever visited the Women's Rights National Historical Park or National Women's Hall of Fame in Seneca Falls, or the Susan B. Anthony House in Rochester, New York, you may think you know the beginning of the women's rights movement story in the US. But that story, as it's told, often misses how white women who organized these movements that you often learn about actually learned much of their vision from the Indigenous women of the Finger Lakes area of New York, women who play key roles in governance as clan mothers. And there was a wonderful panel of the filmmaker and clan mother Louise Hearn and Dr. Sally Roche Wagner, and it was moderated by the National Affairs Coordinator at SUNY Potsdam. I'd also like to quickly acknowledge Laura Ettinger and Zach Miller, who've made a series of award-winning documentaries and educational videos featuring trailblazing women engineers. Trailblazers in particular is the untold story of 6 women engineers who came into the profession and are, at the tail end of their careers now and have a lot of lessons for us all. I also would like to thank our sponsors, the Association for Computing Machinery's Technology Policy Council, and also the Association for Computing Machinery's Diversity and Inclusion Council. I also would like to acknowledge Clarkson's NSF grant, NSF Advanced Grant, and the sponsorship of the Clarkson Open Source Institute, which many of the folks here on this call are part of, and also the cooperation support of Clarkson's Society of Women Engineers. I would love to point you to an overview of upcoming events. Maybe one of my fellow co-hosts can put our tiny URL, Clarkson Coded Bias, in the chat so everyone's got it, just in case you don't have it. I want to emphasize that Coded Bias is available to watch for free now, and there's a direct link and the password you need and all the details right on the website, but you can also register to get more details of upcoming events. There's another wonderful opportunity to discuss Coded Bias tomorrow at 6, and Wednesday at 6, there's going to be a wonderful event with the Clarkson Open Source Institute. And then Friday, Picture a Scientist virtual screenings will kick off. We think it's very likely that the watch window for Coded Bias will either be extended or reopened to be in conjunction with an amazing ACM distinguished panel that includes the Honorable Bernice Donald, who, if you were here for the very beginning of this session, you know is here with us tonight. She's a federal judge of the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. Also, the amazing Harvard professor LaTanya Sweeney, who I am honored to be a co-member with on the ACM Technology Policy Council, and Dame Wendy Hall, who is a British computer scientist, a member of the British Royal Society, and chair of the Ada Lovelace Institute. So in this Women's History Month, we are celebrating a lot of wonderful women doing great work in bias in AI, in science, in so many fields. And we are having conversations over the next 2 weeks about things that affect all of our lives in really profound ways. And we're really delighted you are here to join us. So now for the topic of this evening's panel. I am very delighted to be able to offer you a discussion of the exciting research work going on at Clarkson in these areas of bias in artificial intelligence and in automated decision-making. Many of the wonderful folks you're going to hear from tonight are researchers that I have a privilege of working with. And I would say that the theme of our group's work is supporting the rights of individuals in a world of automation. We want to see that automated systems, that AI, support human well-being, healthy societies, and democratic principles. And that is not a given. So with that, I am delighted to let's do a quick round of introductions, and then we'll go around again and talk about our work. I will quickly say I'm Gina Matthews, professor of computer science here at Clarkson.